What? Yeah. No, I'm behaving myself. No, I'm not playing in abandoned buildings. What? Again? Now, I suppose you had those people follow me again. Fine. Hey, this is Jimmy Farrow from Monty and the Pharaoh, and I want to thank all our subscribers. We have now passed 14,000 on our YouTube channel. But I want to ask our subscribers to take the next step for us and become a full-fledged member of Monty and the Pharaoh. Yeah, that's right, folks. There's 3 different levels to choose from. There's free shirts. There's free autographs. Just check it out and become a member of Long Island's #1 pro wrestling broadcast, Monty and the Pharaoh. Later.
But if I go back, then I'm going to have my cousin cut a couple of beers off, you know?
There you go.
You mentioned running with Andre the Giant. Can you tell us an Andre the Giant story?
Uh-oh.
What about Andre?
Do you have a story that between you and him that tickled your
Well,
fancy?
I tell you what, you saw my wife, right?
Yes.
She's 65 years old now, going on 66. When she was 21 and 22 years old, and that's the beginning of my life, because I was married first for 15 years. Remember, I told you that I was in California, and the reason why I left because I came home to get divorced because I was having problems. That's the reason why I left California.
Okay.
More likely because I wasn't doing too good with the home stuff, you know. But what happens now is that as soon as I came home, and by the end of 76 and the beginning of 77, I bump into this young lady. I don't know, God must have done that because I had no involvement on being with no woman or nothing. You know, you got your own problem. You just want to mind your business, and we were having problems, and it was down the street. And my son was 15 years old, my oldest son. He's 59 years old now. My daughter's up in the right behind him, and those were my 2 first kids from my first marriage, which I was for 15 years married. And in 76, I wound up getting divorced at the end of by the 77. And then I went to the garden, and I bumped into this young lady here, and out of the blue. I mean, she wasn't even a wrestling fan. She went there to see for the second time wrestling at the garden because our friend was how do you say she was following wrestling, and she gave her a ticket the first time, and the second time she bought a ticket, and they were looking for her friend, and she bumped against me at the hotel. Me dropping not Gorilla Monsoon, dropping Cicluna down from the garden, driving down to 50th Street to the Howard Johnson Hotel. And by the time I drank a couple of beers and went into the bathroom and come out in the hallway, I bumped into her. I can't tell you the real story, because if I tell you the real story, you're not going to believe it, and it's a fantasy. It happens. God knows what he's doing. I bumped into her, and she's looking for her friend. Her friend came in and got an autograph, walked out the other door, and she left them in the hallway looking for her. And I come out of the bathroom, I bump into her. The rest was history. Okay, that's a long story. That's 40, it's going to be 47 years ago. And the funny part about it is that after a while, and she's with me for a while, for 4 years before we got married. And then we go to the pub, and I'm good friends with Andre, because Andre and I we hang out. Me, Cicluna, Andre, Danucci, Arnold Scollin. We spent a lot of nights, traveling and hanging out, and we were buddies. And I go to the pub with her, and Andrew's there, and he wants to play ping pong with the machine, and she loves to play that, the ball that you hit it and it goes all over the place, the little ball. Well, he'll pick up the machine with his hand, and then instead of using the thing, and he's bouncing around, and she's fighting with him. And but Andre, that's not fair. You're not supposed to pick up the machine and have the little ball run all over the thing to get you a thing. And then he used to have a lot of fun doing that, because we were buddies, and we had nothing to lose. You understand?
Yeah, but don't play pinball with Andre.
Yeah, but he was just laughing and joking and having fun with her. And my wife is a sweetheart. She's friendly with everybody. She's not that's the way she is. That's why I wanted her to say hello to you guys.
You lucked out.
The funny part about it is that time went on. He even slept on a basement apartment that I had in Queens, because he went to the airport and dropped his girlfriend. He wanted me to pick him up so we could go in. I picked him up, and he didn't sleep all night. He got drunk, and then come over. And he said, "Johnny, it's 2:00 and I sleep. We're going to Staten Island to have a show." And he says, "Can I lay down?" And he's laying down and burping, button, and he's a regular. Andrew was a regular man. You know what I mean?
How'd you get him
Only
into the
that he was the real giant.
Hey, how'd you fit him into the basement apartment? It's kind of big.
Because
How'd you fit him in there?
because he was a friend. I had a basement apartment. He had to walk down backwards.
Okay.
He was. We're regulars. We got nothing to do with. And I told you that the girl that this is a real McCoy. The girl that invited my wife when they were kids, friends, the age of 21 and 22. The girl that was a wrestling fan and invited my wife. They were friends from kindergarten in Brooklyn, from little girls. And when they grew up at that age, they were still friends. And she invited her because she had extra tickets the first time. She got a ticket the second time she bought her own. And that's when I met my wife for the first time. But that girl that we're talking about is Nancy Argentino, the girl that had the problem with the Snuka.
I was going to ask you about that. Do you know anything about that story?
I just told you. There's nothing else to ask. That's the girl.
Did you?
And the reason, and I had nothing to do with introducing her to Snuka or my wife or anything. Had nothing to do with it. That was their own meeting. There is no connection. There is no connection with us except that was her friend from child.
But how did your wife handle after the unfortunate passing of
Nothing. I don't handle. I'm a pro. Once I met my wife, and she was with me, I said there is a separation. She goes her way, and you come in my way. You could always call and say hello, but then there is no hanging in the scenery. You know what I mean?
I got you.
How are you?
I'm a real McCoy. I was born in the hills of I was born in the hills of Puerto Rico and raised downtown in Little Italy, and I'm a real McCoy, and I do things before it happens. You understand?
Yeah.
How hard was it for you to share a locker room with Snuka after that?
Oh no, it has no. We don't. Why should I have? Why should we have any problems? It's got nothing to do. There is nothing to do with our
There's business
I
at
don't.
hand.
It's none of my business. You understand?
Okay.
No, but Johnny, let me ask you. She was a friend of your wife for her whole life. Wasn't your wife upset over this at all?
Yes,
Sure.
but you don't understand. It's that's what I'm trying to tell you. When shit like that happen and you have nothing to do with it, yes, you feel bad. But then after that, you don't have to be doing anything because there's nothing you could do. What is it that you could do?
Right. Right.
You
Johnny,
can't
how
do
about
anything.
not to switch gears, but we will. One of my favorites growing up was Quick Draw.
And
with Rick McGraw.
otherwise, us talking about it now, it makes no, and it's just a history written or thing that happened. I just said it because they made films out of it. They talk about it. They say that me and the sister said that me and Ellen, my wife, introduced her to them, and that's not true. It was the opposite. I just told you how it happened.
Yeah.
The reason why I met my wife is because she had extra tickets and her friend didn't go. My wife was never a wrestling fan.
Right.
She likes boxing. She likes basketball, but she don't like. She never had nothing to do as a kid. As a growing up with her, they never. She never had nothing to do with wrestling. She was invited. She liked it in the garden for the first time. They were friends. So she bought a ticket for the second time just to go enjoy herself. But she wound up bumping against me because she was looking for her friend. God put us together. We've been almost 47 years. We had
God bless.
two kids. We had a girl and a boy. My wife is a twin. She has a twin sister. Today, our son has a twin kids, and then the sister has a girl and a boy. So you see, we have a family. My wife and I. We created a big family.
Johnny, if I can ask about, you